Hi, my name's Roisin,
And my name's Sodi.
and we are student speech pathologists from the University of Sydney. In this video, we will be discussing language stimulation and what can be done in a one-on-one setting, as well as in the classroom to encourage language development in children. As student speech pathologists, we aim to collaborate with you to share our learning and increase awareness of language stimulation and ways that language stimulation can be implemented in a range of contexts, like at home, on the playground, and in the classroom to best support our students. So we thank you for selecting our video today, and we hope you find it beneficial.
We will begin with an acknowledgement of country. We recognize and pay respect to First Nation, elders, and communities, past, present, and emerging, of the lands that the University of Sydney's campuses stand on. For thousands of years, they have shared and exchanged knowledge across innumerable generations for the benefit of all.
So, what is language stimulation? It is providing children with opportunities to learn and to develop their language through play and activities in a natural setting. We do this by creating rich language environments and modeling language to respond to the child's communication attempts, whether it's their gestures, facial expressions, sounds, words, and sentences. So we can extend on the child's interactions and conversations. And as we said, this can be implemented in everyday contexts.
As educators, we have an important role to implement cultural responsive language stimulation strategies. Aboriginal communities in Australia speak a wide range of Indigenous languages, each with its own unique linguistic characteristics and history. Aboriginal cultures are diverse and dynamic, reflecting the rich tapestry of traditions, beliefs, and practices that have evolved over thousands of years. Cultural practices such as storytelling, song, dance, and art play a central role in many Aboriginal communities. Language stimulation efforts should incorporate culturally relevant content and activities that resonate with Aboriginal culture. We can incorporate Indigenous stories, songs, dance, and art into language learning activities, which will be incredibly beneficial to children.
So let's discuss the importance of language stimulation for students. So beginning with literacy development. Language stimulation supports literacy development. By engaging children through activities like storytelling, reading aloud, and thoughtful discussions, we can enrich their linguistic experiences. This exposure helps develop essential skills like letter sound awareness, comprehension strategies, which are foundational to reading and writing. Research has consistently shown that delays in early development can significantly impact literacy and academic performance. So, by integrating language stimulation strategies, we support all students to reach their full potential.
Moving on to critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Language stimulation plays a pivotal role here as well. Language stimulation supports students to express their thoughts, ideas, and opinions, fostering critical thinking skills. The classroom setting encourages students to engage in discussions, debates, and to work collaboratively. When we create these rich language and learning environments, we support students to communicate effectively, a skill that will be transferred beyond the classroom.
Language stimulation also significantly impacts social and emotional development. By engaging in conversations, role playing, and cooperative activities, students learn to navigate social relationships and to regulate their emotions. Research shows us that students who are struggling with language development often face social difficulties. Hence, it is essential that we use language stimulation strategies to support their social integration.
Now let's discuss academic success across disciplines. Robust language skills are indispensable in every subject, from science and mathematics to history and literature. Language stimulation enriches students' vocabulary, boosts comprehension, and enhances their ability to communicate complex ideas effectively. These skills are essential for students to engage fully with academic content and excel in their studies, setting a solid foundation for lifelong academic achievement.
Finally, the impact of language stimulation extends beyond the school years into the students' future careers and personal lives. By fostering these skills from an early age, we equip students not only with not only for academic success, but also for professional advancement and personal growth, preparing them to be effective communicators in the workforce and in life.
Overall, we know that the language stimulation is important and beneficial to all children, including those who are not yet in school, as we can create good interactions where they're exposed to rich communicative environments that promote good language development and enhance their future outcomes in and beyond the classroom setting.
Now let's talk about language stimulation one-on-one. When two people communicate back and forth with or without words, they are part of an interaction. You will encourage your child to communicate by letting them start more of the interactions instead of leading or directing the interaction yourself. This gives the child the opportunity to lead. When you let a child lead and you respond with interest, they'll want to communicate with you even more. Additionally, every time that your child leads an interaction and you respond to them with enthusiasm and you give them more information, model sentence structure, vocabulary, and conversation skills, the more their communication can improve. Children are learning language for the first time. So the more that we model language, the easier that they can learn language, which will help them to be school ready. By offering them this vocabulary and sentence structures, we can broaden their horizons by teaching them how to learn this new language.
So where should we start? So the first step is to start by setting up an interaction with your child. Sit face to face so that you can connect and share a moment. You will be able to hear and see what they have to communicate. Step 2 is to observe. Observe your child's communication attempts. By observing what they are looking at, pointing at, gesturing, the words they're saying, and their facial expressions, we can learn a lot about what they're interested in. Step 3 is to wait. Wait and give the child time to start an interaction and respond to what you've said or done. This involves leaning forwards and looking at the child expectantly. This is particularly powerful if the child is used to everyone communicating for them. Waiting will send them the message that you are listening and ready to hear what they have to say. The last step, listen. Listening means paying attention to what the child says. By using active listening skills, this shows them that what they have to say is important to you, and this will build their confidence and self-esteem as they develop their language.
So what does language stimulation look like in the classroom? This involves creating a rich and supportive learning environment where students have ample opportunities to practice and develop their language skills in meaningful contexts. As we said previously, we encourage multiple modes of learning, including verbal, visual, and tactile, to accommodate different learning styles and to promote language development. Here are some activities where language stimulation can occur. Interactive discussions. Engaging students in discussions on various topics, encouraging them to express their thoughts, opinions, and ideas verbally. Storytelling as well. So reading aloud to students and encouraging them to participate in storytelling activities where they can create and share their own stories. Vocabulary expansion. So introducing new words through various mediums, such as reading passages, educational videos, word games, and interactive activities to enrich students' vocabulary. Visual supports. Utilize visual aids such as charts, diagrams, pictures, and videos to support comprehension and reinforce language concepts. Role playing. Encourage students to engage in role playing activities where they can practice using their language in real life situations, such as ordering food at a restaurant or negotiating with a peer. They'll also be challenged to learn from each other. Peer interaction. Create opportunities for students to interact with their peers through group projects, collaborative learning activities, and peer discussions. And lastly, we wrote scaffolded instruction. So break down complex language tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, providing support and guidance as students walk towards mastery.
We have explained different interactions and scenarios that you can set up with students, but let's talk about specific strategies that you can use once you're in these settings. We'll do this by introducing one strategy at a time and then modeling for you how it can be employed when interacting with a young student and again with an older student. Let's start with following the child's lead. This involves engaging in activities that the child is already interested in, allowing them to lead the interaction. This approach encourages them to communicate more and for longer periods. The scenario with a kinder student might entail the kindergarten student picking up a toy truck and pushing it around whilst making engine sound noises. Your role would be to mimic these noises and push a truck alongside with the kindergartner. The scenario with an older student might entail initiating a discussion with a student about the book they're reading. If they've taken an interest in a book about dinosaurs, you can ask them questions about this and allow them to lead the conversation.
Next is self-talk. This strategy involves narrating your own actions. It helps children understand daily activities and the language associated with them. When interacting with younger students, you could use simple sentences that describe your actions to increase their vocabulary exposure related to everyday activities. For example, when you are painting, you might say, "Paint, I am painting the sky blue." When interacting with older students, you could model organized thinking and introduce descriptive language. For example, when you are organizing paints, you might say, "I'm sorting these bright watercolor paints by color. This will make it easier for us to find what we need."
Parallel talk is a strategy where you talk about what the student is doing, touching, feeling, smelling, or hearing. In the scenario, when the young student is eating lunch, you might observe, comment, or respond to their communication attempts by connecting the language to their actions. For example, when the student says eating, you might say, "Eating your sandwich. It looks tasty. You are taking big bites. You are drinking your milk. I can smell ham." For older students, perhaps during a meal, you could say, "You are choosing the salad first. That's a healthy start. Now you're adding some dressing to it. It seems like you enjoy ranch dressing the most." This not only acknowledges their actions, but also introduces more complex sentence structures and vocabulary.
Expansion is a strategy involving repeating what students say and then adding a couple more words to complete their message. This helps them to learn to construct more complex sentences and enhances their language development. For younger students, if they are at the sink, you might say, "Wash your hands." And you could expand on this by saying, "Wash your hands with soap to make them clean. Rinse the soap off with water." For older students, you could expand their words by including more information. In the same scenario, you might say, "Let's wash our hands with warm water and soap to kill the germs." Remember, scrubbing for at least 20 seconds helps remove bacteria, keeping us healthy, especially before eating.
Asking questions is another strategy that can engage students in conversation, encourage them to think and express themselves, and extend their language use. This strategy involves posing questions that are open-minded or offer choices, which helps to foster a deeper engagement with the topic. It is important to pose questions that students are comfortable answering and to demonstrate genuine interest in their activities. For younger students, while playing with animal figures, you might ask, "What is the elephant doing? Is he going to drink water or eat some grass?" This type of question encourages the child to think about the actions of the elephant and express ideas in a narrative form. For older students, you can enhance the complexity of the questions to stimulate more detailed responses and critical thinking. In the same scenario, you might ask, "Why do you think the elephant chooses to stay near the water? How does the environment influence the behaviors of other animals around him?"
Topic maintenance refers to the ability to stay focused on a specific topic during a conversation. This is crucial for effective communication by ensuring that the conversation remains coherent and that all participants can follow and contribute meaningfully. It is normal for students to go off topic when interacting, especially in younger age groups due to their shorter attention span. At this point, you could gently redirect the conversation back to the topic when deviations occur. For example, reinforcing something previously mentioned that is related to the main topic or asking a question that leads back to it. The scenario might be the child starts talking about their weekend in the middle of a conversation about their favorite book. So you could say, "It sounds like you had a fun weekend, but let's get back to our story. What was your favorite part about the book?"
Finally, is the say less, go slow, and show strategy, which is under the concept of modeling. Modeling is to demonstrate the behavior and communication style so that children can learn through observation. The first point is to say less by using short and simple sentences. We model effective communication, making it easier for children to follow and understand. For younger students, instead of giving a multi-step directive, simplify your instruction to one step at a time to younger students. For example, put your shoes on. For older students, you could simplify the instructions related to a complex task. For example, by saying, start your essay with the introduction. Next is to go slow and avoid speaking too fast. For example, when giving instructions to younger students, you might say, wash your hands, and pause between words to let each command sink in. For older students, when explaining a new concept, you might slow down by emphasizing key points. For example, to solve this equation, first add the numbers. Lastly, using visual and physical cues alongside verbal instructions could enhance the student's understanding. While instructing younger students, you might add a gesture. For example, point to the child's shoes while saying, put your shoes on. This visual cue supports the verbal. For older students, while teaching a process, you might physically demonstrate each step while explaining it, showing exactly what goes where. For example, when writing an essay, you could show the essay structure by writing it on a whiteboard.
We know that there are different types of communicators. Whether they are more introverted or extroverted, you can employ language stimulation strategies that are suited to the child and will support their language development. So, introverted students tend to be more passive communicators and prefer to listen rather than to speak. They are individuals who may prefer solitary activities, tend to be more reserved, and may require additional encouragement to participate in social interactions. Whilst extroverted individuals thrive in these social settings, they're outgoing and often enjoy group activities and discussion. They may approach communication in a more boisterous way.
We know that there may be associations with neurodevelopmental conditions. For autism spectrum disorder, individuals with autism spectrum disorder may exhibit a range of communication styles, from nonverbal to highly verbal. Some may prefer structured environments and struggle with social interactions. On the other hand, for attention deficit or hyperactive disorder, which is known as ADHD, individuals with ADHD may have difficulty with impulse control, attention, and hyperactivity. They may have difficulty for some learners to stay on task and keep focused. Children who struggle to maintain attention as well as manage impulsive tendencies, and these factors can affect communication skills and social interactions.
To support language development, we need to tailor our instruction to individual needs and preferences. Here are some specific strategies that you can utilize depending on your students' needs. For introverted communicators, we can provide opportunities for one-on-one interactions to build rapport and confidence. We can use visual aids and written instructions to support their understanding and allow for quiet time and space for reflection. For our extroverted communicators, we can encourage group discussions and collaborative activities. We can incorporate hands-on learning experiences to keep them engaged, and we can provide opportunities for verbal expression and storytelling.
Our role as speech pathologists in language stimulation is to collaborate and to share with educators how to interpret children's communication attempts and to respond appropriately to support language development. We also have a role in assessing children who require more support in their language development and devising suitable intervention plans. We at the University of Sydney offer different types of intervention. USIT runs one of Australia's largest student clinics, and it offers outreach programs, face-to-face therapy, online therapy through Zoom, and sometimes school visits. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation. We have included USIT's contact details to this presentation and our language stimulation handout.
And you can see our contacts on the next slide, but we really hope that this has been useful to you. Thank you for your time. Bye.